So welcome to another 13 steps, and session today is all about shooting for show and don't apologize for it. I suppose the first thing to do would be to kind of explain what I mean by this expression if you haven't come across it before. It really identifies the kind of the things we do to make money and the things that we basically do to make ourselves creative. Now, through my kind of career as a photographer, I often came across this expression, especially in the early days. It was shots for show and shots for dough, except that many photographers were finding the reason not to shoot for show. In other words, not to be creative, not to actually do things for awards, not to make themselves feel good and everything else with it. And they used kind of the excuse of people don't buy it or whatever it is. And those are the kind of things that we're looking at today. Is kind of, it's a mindset to actually change you around so that within the next week or so you can actively start developing a more creative side to you and so on with it and things really. So I've put together some kind of 10 reasons, 10 steps, 10 questions, or 10 things that have been said to me during my career by photographers when I'm training them and so on with it. So I don't get creative because they don't sell as well. Well, I completely understand it. And I agree with you. Some of the best photographs I've ever taken are not the images that the client has bought big for the wall. But in fact, what I've got to identify, it's probably because I have shot creatively in every session for clients, that's why I'm remembered. So we're going to see this a recurring element. But if we were to put it in pound, shilling and pence, or dollars and cents, or whatever you are in the world, I fully get your mindset when you say, well, what's the point, Mark? Why don't I just shoot, you know, nice and easy images? You know, the client likes the expressions, emotionally they're attached to them, and that's why we're going to make our money. I get it, I fully. However, what I'm trying to ensure that you're doing is inspiring yourself. We got into photography, most of us, for the absolute love of photography. And because of the love of photography, our passion, we basically became or wanted to be professional photographers. Then we kind of become professional photographers and we fall out of love with photography. It's just like, because the business is kind of weighing you down. So if we don't identify that the creative, the passion is one of the most, if not the most important part within the business, we're going to lose love with our business. And I always talk about relationships. Our business, we're in a relationship with it, and we have to kind of treat it well. We have to take it out for dinner. We have to buy it flowers every now and again. And we have to make sure that it feels special. And we have to do that. And that's one of the things that we can kind of identify. So if you've got this little block in your head, you know, I don't get creative because they don't sell as well. I get it, I promise you. However, think about how your business is being loved because of your creativity, or being loved or identified as better than the rest and things really. Another one I've heard, I just don't do what, I just do what others do. It works for them. Well, you don't know it works for them, okay? One of the great things that I've been able to see over the years is businesses that look from the outside like they're very good, but actually when you open and you go behind the iron curtain, as it were, you start to see that they're basically struggling businesses and they're not really earning much money. In fact, I've come across very eminent kind of photographers within our industry, and when you start to actually look behind, you actually see that there is no quality of business behind them at all with it and things really. Some earning minimum wage or below, and that isn't because of the passion. That's because they've they don't identify with either one or the other. So we have to understand that when we look at the best of the best of the best, that's what we should be aiming towards. But we must also identify that the best of the best of the best doesn't mean they're amazing in business. And this is a very confusing element for you. So you might go to a workshop or whatever it is and you go, oh my God, I absolutely love what this photographer does. but the reality is they may be an exceptional photographer, which is really what we're trying to encourage you to become today. But of course, we have to be able to actually sell it as well. So if you're just shooting high key images because everybody else does it, why are you doing it? If you don't love doing it, then you've got to kind of really address that and so on. And funny enough, in the early days of Studio Watch, in Studio Watch, the person involved didn't tell me for 3 years that they didn't really want to be a family photographer. And it was like, we've just wasted 3 years identifying that and things really. And a core should be really re-identified within 12 to 18 months, no more than that, where you actually do think, in fact, I need to be shooting something other than what I originally set the business up for. But just don't kind of follow what others do. I don't have the skills to shoot creatively. This for me saddens me, and obviously I get it. However, I've got to remind you that it's not difficult. If you learn certain parameters, certain rules, certain skill sets, once you've learned those, I often encourage you to throw those away for a part of the shoot. So if you find that your skill sets are being limited because of technological elements, like you're using on-camera flash or off-camera flash in TTL mode, or you've got studio flashes and you don't know how to use it as such, take the time and train yourself. Take some time away from the business, away from what you're having to do with an everyday client, and basically practice. You know, that's one of the great things. Debbie, my wife, who basically ran the business for us, she was the one who said, you need to be teaching yourself, Mark. It's no good just going off and, you know, going to a seminar every other month or whatever it will be. And I travel, you know, up to a few hundred miles if I had to go and see the right photographer and kind of learn from them and so on. But you've got to come back and put those things into practice as well. So as much as I'll encourage you to look and watch the likes of the Photographer Academy, even come on workshops with me or others, what you've got to do is the next day is you've got to spend some time doing the things that you've just learned. So hiring a model, I always kind of say that the cost of the workshop isn't the cost. The cost is actually everything that follows on. So in the more that you invest into your time in the next few weeks, months, and so on with it, but you don't have the skill sets for it, I promise you, I've put together the Photographer Academy to help you be creative, to help you understand the basic elements. But I've also put things together to show you that you can be creative, how you can be creative, and what skill sets you need to actually change things. A child, when it draws for the first time, scribbles, and basically, you know, at some stage the scribbles turn into something amazing. And it's identifying when to stop. Now, with a child, we can't do that. We have to keep developing skills. We have to keep developing them, and so on and so on. But when you're a photographer, the first thing that you can do is identify what you really want to shoot, and then basically unravel it. Look at the lighting, look at the posing, look at the backgrounds, look at the aperture, look at the kind of the way it all kind of comes together. And so if you don't have the skill sets, I definitely encourage you to kind of apply the 7 components that I talk about in Photo Critiques a lot. They are composition, lighting, exposure, pose, style, storytelling, and post-production. If you can start to master all of those elements, you will find that you do have the skill sets to pretty much achieve anything. I heard this recently, okay? I find it hard to be original, but when I say I heard it recently, it just means I've heard it probably 100 times before. But again, it's one of those things that you hear from somebody, in this case, it was from within my experience group and things really. And I agree with you. It's hard to be creative. It's hard to be original, but those things take blood, sweat, and tears, or in some case, blood, sweat, and beers, as it were. You need to really find and be inspired to kind of really then take those ingredients away and turn them into you. I've had some amazing mentors in my life. Some I've met, some I haven't. Some have really been a mentor and kind of helped me in my kind of photographic career and so on. But, you know, one of the mentors I was lucky to have met just for dinner was Bob Carlos Clark. And one of the most amazing inspirational kind of characters, bigger than life as it were, but full of self-doubt and everything else with it. And I actually remember him saying to me, or saying to the table, I should say, it's very hard to be original. So if somebody as amazing as he can say that and I hear it, I'm going to use that as well to empower me. If he's using that saying to kind of create the creations that he did, then why shouldn't I? You know, we have to kind of make sure that we're looking at what others are doing, but just don't copy what they're doing. Basically take the ingredients and make them into their own and things. Really, we recently did it last year, I think, on one of the live sessions that we were doing, where we're doing the back. And again, it's completely influenced from one of the Bob Carlos Clark images, but then I just go ahead and actually tweak it a little bit to actually make it into a little bit more of me and so on with it. But don't try and be original, just allow originality to come out with it, things. This one saying, I absolutely, it gets me in the heart, and it gets me in so many ways. I don't have time to be creative. I would say that you don't have time not to be creative, because, you know, tomorrow it's our kind of 1-year anniversary in this house, the new house that we're in and things. And I'll buy my wife some flowers, and tomorrow night we'll have a glass of wine and we'll have something nice to eat and things, really. But it is a bit of a celebration. Do we need to do that? It's only a house. We've only lived here for a year, so big deal. You know, it's not like we've had our first child here or got married or whatever it is. You know, we're at the end of our lives, at the end of our kind of marriage life together. I hope we're there forever. But it's a celebration, and I believe that being creative within your business every day, every week, every month, every year is really that celebration of being in love with your business. And you have to be in love with your business, because business is hard. And if business is hard, we need to find the good times. You know, as relationships, we all have rows, you know, but we love making up from it and things, really. And business has got to be that. And if you're finding it tough and hard, and you're not finding something good to do with the hard times becoming into good times, you're really not allowing yourself a positive spin on it and things, really. So I would completely ask you to write this down. I don't have time to be creative. Rip it up or burn it or whatever it is, and change it to I do have time to be creative, because I promise you, you do. For me, the necessity of the first 20 minutes, so this is from my heart now, the necessity of the first 20 minutes is what we shoot for dough with. Okay, this is where we probably really make our money. And I'm not on about a 20-minute session, I'm on about an hour session. And in that first 20 minutes, though, is where we will make our money. So then if we kind of looked at point 1, where it was kind of people don't buy it, then we know they are going to buy from the shoot, because in the first 20 minutes we've identified it, we've created what we know that they buy or we're expecting them to buy. So by doing that, of course, the benefit is that we cannot not use that excuse anymore to basically have the element as the excuse as such, really. I'm not sure if you're seeing my screen a minute. Let me just show my screen again. Not quite sure if my screen's being shown. I do apologize if it's not, but I will put it in the recording anyway. But as I said, that first 20 minutes then gives us the power of the last 20 minutes. I often talk about the middle 20 minutes as being the transitional time, changing of clothes, etc., but really making sure that they are kind of in the workings, that I'm getting myself prepared for that last 20 minutes. So once I've nailed the first 20 minutes, quick change of clothes, quick change of backdrop, quick change of lighting in some way, and I'm into probably only about 10 minutes of shooting time, because they're going to need to go off and get changed again and so on. But that 10 minutes is the transition, and I'm getting ready for myself to actually be into that most creative element. So once we're into that most creative element, we're basically ready to be bringing our genie to work and things, really. And, you know, genius or madness, whatever it is, I don't care what it is, just do something for you. Never mind the client, do something for you. Do something that you're going to go away buzzing for about, that you can kind of sing and dance about on your social medias, in the awards, on your website. Well, I don't care what it is, but do something that you can really celebrate with and things, really. And by doing that, of course, we can then try and be better than the rest. And if we're better than the rest, we then start to, let me just stop showing my screen a minute, and then we'll start to show my screen again, just to ensure that you can see my screen. Apologize if it's not as I said. But anyway, back to it. Be better than the rest. And by being better than the rest, again, it's hard, I get it, but that's a mindset. That's a kind of, I'm going to be as good as the best in my area. But once we're kind of acknowledging I want to be as good as they are, then why shouldn't I be better than them? When I was training my photographers who worked for me over the years, both, you know, training assistants and photographers, I always said to them, look, don't be as good as me, be better than me. That's really what I'm training you for. That's what your ambition should be, because if we don't have that ambition, really, we're never going to actually achieve what we're setting out to. Creativity creates a talking point in everything we do. And I've already touched on social media, you know, celebrating images. These are things that will be talked about and celebrated by many. They will even cause a knee-jerk reaction from some, and they might not like it. But remember, in that last 20 minutes, the images that you're creating are all about you. It's all about what you are as a photographer, your fun, your creative element, your kind of working aperture, change of lens, creative lighting, whatever it would be. But these are things that not only will talk about it on social media, however, the main thing is you're getting the clients to talk about you. I want those clients going away on a buzz. I want them even more emotionally attached to images they haven't seen yet, because when they strive to come back and see those images, they can't wait to come back and see those images. And by doing that, of course, then we win all the time with it and things, really. So, you know, create those talking points with the client that they're going to go away with, and then kind of celebrate that again actually when we get to the viewing room. So kind of ends off with inspire the client and inspire yourself at the same time. I can guarantee you those are words that I use every single day when teaching photographers in business and as photographers. We need to basically remember that every time we're creating inspiration for our clients, we are doing something good for our own headspace as well with it and things, really. And what you've got to do is prepare for it. So look online, find some inspiration, and then basically use that as a guide just to shoot 1, 2, 3 different shots at the end of every session that you do. And by doing that, you can shoot for show and for the money, the dough, and you will never have to apologize it, because I promise you, you should never have to do it. So what I'm asking you to do in this next week is to, at the end of every session, just shoot something for fun. Don't apologize for it. Don't worry about expression. Don't worry about pose. Don't worry about light. Shoot something that is just fun or creative for you. And you never know, you could kind of change your trajectory of your business without even realizing it. Thanks for joining me on another one. And remember, stand out from the crowd. If you haven't done so already, head over to the experiencegroup.co.uk /experience-secrets and sign up for our secrets in the business kind of element and things as well. So if you haven't done that already, I look forward to kind of seeing you online. Take care. Bye-bye.